And all righty, so we are recording. We are going to get started. Thank you for joining us. This is true to its form. It is a roundtable. I don't have a list of things to talk to you about. This is kind of your meeting to let me know what your concerns are and if you have anything that you would like to talk about. We are going to be a fairly large group, so I ask that you keep your microphone muted unless you have something to say. And when you do have something to say, if you would use the symbol to raise your hand, and I'll call on you as soon as I can. So we've got people from all over the place. I'd really like to go around and have everybody just say who you are and where you're from, and if you're just getting started or if you've been in the program for quite a while. Just a real quick summary like that, because we don't want to spend all evening on introductions. So we'll start. I'm just going to go around the screen that's on my screen. Christine, you're the first on my screen. Christine D. We got more than one Christine, so I got to make sure. Okay, Christine D.
Yes. Hi, Mary. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. Go Chiefs. And I just started the program.
And who is your mentor?
Hannah.
Yes. So give us your name, where you're from, and Hannah, and who your mentor is. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Christine. And now the other Christine, Christine Murphy.
So Christine Murphy, I am from Oregon, and I've been in the program for a couple years. I'm still on level 1, and Nicole Anderson is my mentor.
Melissa Cruz, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, K. You're muted. You need to unmute.
Melissa Cruzak.
Yes,
from Huntsville, Alabama. And like Christine Murphy, I've been in a couple of years, still on level 1. Glad to be here.
And who's your mentor?
Nicole Anderson.
Okay. All right. Now we've got a couple Michelles. Let's go with Michelle. Looks like you're in a striped shirt in a recliner.
That would be Michelle Baker.
Michelle Baker. Hi, Michelle.
Sorry, I'm getting over COVID, so I'm still quite back. So I'm just lounging. I am from Central Ohio. I started, I think, in summer with the program, but I got waylaid due to a hip replacement. So finally back about a quarter of the way through the assignments. And my mentor is the lovely Mary Stevens.
No, thank you, Michelle. All right, Chris M.
Hi, I'm Chris McCullough. I live in Portland, Oregon. Mary's my mentor, and I've been in the program a few years. I'm level 1, but I'm a great fan of the program. I think it's a great program, and I'm looking forward to finishing.
Yes. All right, Nancy in the purple shirt.
Hi, I'm Nancy Holderreed. I live in Lansing, Michigan. Lisa Bogus, if I'm saying that right, is my Bogus. Okay, she's my mentor, and I've been in this a couple years at level 1, and I'm encouraged to hear that I'm not the only one that's taken a couple years to do this.
You'll find that there's a wide range of how fast people go through the program. Some people take 2 or 3 years or longer to get through level 1, and some people go through it very quickly. And that's part of the beauty of this course, is that it is flexible to your schedule. And sometimes life gets in the way, and we're okay as long as you keep in touch and keep submitting something, be active. You can take as long as you need to. So, all right, Ann Bauer.
Hi there.
There you are.
Hi. I'm Bauer, from Greensboro, North Carolina, and I'm part of the 2-year level 1 program. Great to meet the rest of you all. Thank you.
Michelle Fink.
So I am from South Dakota, about an hour west of Sioux Falls. Nicole Anderson is my mentor, and I as well thought I could just kick this program out because I was, a resident hall director and couldn't do anything, yeah.
Hmm.
But I am gaining some traction now, and I'm looking forward to having this get together. So yes, I'm also glad to see I'm not the only one on the long and slow path.
Yep. All right, Danita, you're next. Danita Andrews. You're still muted, Danita. I can't hear you.
Talking away.
There you are.
I'm so glad to be here. I'm Danita Andrews from Vancouver, Washington, and Mary mentioned that, some people were 2 or 3 years and longer, and I'm part of the and longer group. Mary Friesen is my mentor, and I'm glad to be here and have new determinations and being very intentional moving forward. And that's
Wonderful.
my story. I'm sticking to it.
All right, Melissa Antrim.
Yes, I'm in level 1, and my mentor is Lisa, and I'm from upstate New York, and I'm going kind of like at a snail pace, but I'm still trucking, and so glad to be here.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, and I don't know who this is. Forgive me if I don't recognize you from your Facebook picture, even if I've seen you lots of times, because it's a small picture and I've got too many circles. So the next person on my screen, your login says MCDLA.
Huh?
Yes, I don't know why it says that. My name's Cynthia McDonald, but I go by Cindy. I live in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and Nicole Anderson is my mentor, and I'm another slow person. It's been almost 2 years. Yeah, I did have hip surgery too as well, like Michelle, and I had a very painful pinched nerve for 4 months that affected my whole left arm and wasn't able to play the harp very much. It just really irritated it. So, but I'm feeling much better now, thankfully.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Glad to be
That's
here.
great. All right. Ann Kunkel.
Hi, I'm Ann from Macungie, Pennsylvania, and I've been in the program since last summer. And Sandy Pereira is my mentor.
Mm-hmm. All right, Hiromi.
Hello, everybody. My name is Hiromi Cohen. I live in Los Angeles area, Pasadena, California. I'm originally from Japan, and my mentor is Mary. And so this is my second time trying that level 1. Last time was a few years ago, but I couldn't do it. So this time I'm going to finish at some point.
Yay!
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, I've had several students in the last year who enrolled in the program and then for whatever reason could not complete and just went inactive, and they've become active again. And that's always exciting to me when that happens. All right, Ann Prather.
Hey, am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yes, you are. You are. You're fine.
I cannot see the screen. So anyway, I have been in the program for, I think, just a little over a year. About 3 months after I joined, I broke my left wrist, which impinged on my heart playing for a while. And now I'm back doing that and doing some of the worksheets on guitar, on the classical guitar as well. And my mentor is Mary Stevens.
Anne is very valuable to me because she has a sight disability. And she is giving me advice on making the program more accessible to somebody who has that visual disability. So I appreciate her advice very much. Okay, Judy.
There. Hi, I'm Judy Maloney from Missoula, Montana. Mary Stevens is my mentor, and I'm in my first year, just started in January. So I've already found how some things can slow you down when you think you're just gonna go, go, go. And then you get a week, it goes by and you're just like, oh, I can't believe that stopped me. And yeah, right. And I kind of have laryngitis, so I might not do a lot of talking.
Okay. All right, super. Megan Stewart.
Hi, you can't see me. I'm in the dark.
Okay.
I'm in Lehigh, and I joined in the end of July, but I haven't started yet. I have 2 babies, and I homeschool, and I just haven't been able to find those nuggets of time yet. But I really want to get going.
Well, we're glad to have you here tonight. Okay, next is Pam. Pam, you must still be muted. I can't hear you.
Am I muted?
There you are.
Okay. I'm Pam Marsden from Jacksonville, Florida. And I've been in the program a couple of years. And I think I've turned in my last assignment today for level 1. I'm so excited.
Yep, Pam is completed everything for level 1, and she's ready to go on to level 2. It's exciting.
And Pat Cloud is my mentor.
Okay, Larry.
Good looking crowd tonight. Hello, I'm Larry from Great Falls, Montana. We don't have a football team, but Mary Stevens is my mentor, and I've been in the program 8 days.
He's just getting started. Just getting started. Yeah. I actually Larry works at a care facility and hospital in Great Falls, which is 100 miles from me. And I went there and did several training programs on training staff members how to use the Reverie harp, just as an activity to do with patients that can be very beneficial to them. You don't need a whole lot of training. And then he decided to go into and do the CMCP as well. So that was exciting to me. All right, Leanne.
Oh, it's really wonderful to meet all of you. I am in common with many of you, being on the long, slow path, as somebody put it. So I live in Vancouver, well, very near Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada, and it's very windy out today. We've got very, so if I kind of drop out, it's because I've lost power. But Verlene Shermer is my mentor, and yeah, I'm just very grateful to meet all of you. You're very inspiring to me. Thank you.
And last but not least, Susan Morris.
Hi, Susan from Riverside, Connecticut. Nicole is my mentor, and I'm a level 1.
All right. So you can see we've got people represented from all over the U.S. We also have people in the program from Europe, from Hong Kong, from Italy, from UK, from Australia. It really is a worldwide program now, which is very humbling and intimidating. So when we do these roundtables, I'm going to try to change the time up a little bit to accommodate the European people, because it's the middle of the night for them right now. And of course, it's difficult to join. So one of the problems that I have noticed with CMCP is the isolation. And those of you who have been in the program for a while know that you can feel very lonely, like you're the only one in the program because there's no one around and we don't have the connections. So these roundtables are an attempt to get you connected with other people, realize you're not alone, that there are lots of people that are in the same boat as you are. Some of them, like I said, go through the program quickly, and some of them take their time. And as long as you just stay active and stay in touch with your mentor, that's okay. We need to have some progress to stay as a active student, but you don't have to move by leaps and bounds. The program, we have developed, 9-month study plans and things like that. Those are just suggestions. So if you can't stay with that schedule, it's not a big deal. The other thing that we have started this year, just since the first of the year is online book studies, going through the required books. We've gone through Body, Mind, and Music for level 1, and we're just starting the Healing Musician. And so if you would like to join that book study, send me an email and I'll get you in contact with the person who is organizing those studies. And just going through the books, even if you've already read the books, you get insight by listening to other people talk about them. So the other thing that I wanted to say is that I've been working very hard on updating the program materials. If you've been in the program for quite a while, the 2023 edition has been improved because it has it's in a continuous flow, for one thing, so that we don't have section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. It's a continuous page number section, which makes it easier to navigate. And also the links to the online resources are in the PDF that you would receive if you purchase the update. And that makes the resources much easier to find. And so if you've been in the program for a while, unless you're close to the end, if you're close to the end, unless you want it as a review document, don't bother. But if you're within, say, the first, fourth to third of the program, I would recommend purchasing the updated version of the level 1 notebook, just because of the ease of use of it. And then you would work with your mentor to find out, okay, which assignments, because the assignments are a little bit different, they're numbered differently, and work with your mentor to say, okay, which assignments have I completed and which ones do I need to complete? You won't have to resubmit assignments unless your mentor wants you to. So that's basically what I've got. So we're open to questions, comments, things that you would like to know, something that you found challenging that you need some help with, something that you found exciting that you want to share. Who has something that you want to talk about? Michelle, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
I did. I have a question. I went to purchase the Lori Riley book, Body, Mind, and Music, and it said out of print.
Yeah, you have to go to Lori's website.
Okay.
Do an online search for Lori Riley, and her website will come up. And she has a number of books that are applicable to therapeutic music. Body, Mind, and Music is on there. That's about the only place you can get her book now, is just
wonderful.
Straight through her website.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And this Sunday, the level 1 book study that just finished Body, Mind, and Music, Lori Riley is going to come to that book study virtually, of course, and answer any questions. So if you want to be a part of that, you're certainly welcome to join us. It meets Sunday afternoons at, okay, you're going to have to do your own time conversion. It's 1:45 Pacific time, 2:45 Mountain Time, 3:45 Central, and 4:45 Eastern. So if you want to join it, and if you have a question to ask Lori about her book, you're welcome to do that and join us. Okay. All right. Who else has something? Put your hand up if you have something that you'd like to talk about. Anne, go ahead.
So I have been, I started through the B worksheets. I'm not ready to submit any of them, but they are the ones that start the, a melody and so forth. And I decided cute and do them on harp and classical guitar both, because my first instrument was classical guitar. I'm wondering, so there are some things that you go over in the A level worksheets, like anchor notes and that kind of thing, which are not always inherently obvious on the guitar. You can get yourself in a space where you might want to do that technique, but it just isn't there because your fingers can't get to it.
Right.
So, I'm wondering how to kind of go about doing some of these things. What in it? Well, so that was the first question. The second question was more fundamental, and that is that guitar music is written an octave above where it sounds. The result of this is the E that in the guitar is written on the last highest space of the treble clef. Actually, for the harp would be the E on the first line of the treble clef. But for the guitar, all of the pitches are in your therapeutic range. So I'm wondering, when I go through and do these B worksheets, if I can just go ahead and use all the pitches because they're there and I can get to them easily enough.
Yeah, you had that in that document that you had sent me.
Yeah,
and I'm glad you brought it up so that we can talk about it. Thing to keep in mind. Well, Anne, do you do any improvisation already?
On the guitar, I've done it for years because my students, a lot of them were playing in worship backgrounds where you could melodize songs and that kind of thing. So yeah,
right,
a lot of.
Okay, so first of all, keep in mind that the A and B worksheets, especially the A worksheets, are designed for somebody who has no experience in improvisation and doesn't know where to start. So it starts at this very, very basic level. If you already know how to improvise, you probably don't need to pay a lot of attention to things like the anchor notes and the chord tones and things because your ear already is taking care of all of that. These are more for people who don't have any experience with it, that don't know where to start. So when you're completing those worksheets, if you already know how to improvise, take them more as a challenge of if you know how to improvise a very complex style, take it more as a how can I simplify? People who are advanced musicians, the hardest thing for them is to simplify down into a therapeutic style. Do more with less, fewer notes, lots of open spaces, lots of places where the music will breathe. And you don't want to have a whole lot of 16th notes and running chords and all of this kind of stuff, because that's too much for somebody in a fragile condition to process. And you've got to keep it very simple for them. So, as far as the pitch of the E string, there's something about the guitar where the pitches to the layperson are perceived as much higher than they actually are. And because those high strings are, well, if you're a classical guitar, you're not playing on steel strings, so that's
right.
not
Yeah,
really
and
an
in
issue.
fact, one of the things for classical guitar, if I were working with classical people who wanted to do therapeutic guitar and they hadn't had much guitar experience, I'd probably start them off with classical guitar precisely for that reason, because you can get what's happening there is the overtones. So a steel string pours a lot of energy into the second, third, fourth, fifth harmonic. And because that energy level's so high, you tend to hear them as higher. But for a classical guitar, you can get a nice, pure, almost harp-like tone if you play just to the rear of the sound hole. So that's the conventional place that you play on a classical guitar. That can sound, if you practice it, that can sound quite mellow and beautiful. And you know,
if you're a trained guitarist and you know how to get that lovely sound, then yes, you can use your E string and you can get into that higher range. You just want to be careful about anything that sounds jarring or is a little bit too piercing.
Yeah, we agree there. I just wanted to make sure because you know I'm not trying to, you know, I just I started my work on guitar. I mean, all of my bedside guitar, so I've been off and on for years since the early 70s, actually.
Yeah. So the thing to keep in mind, everybody, no matter what your instrument is to keep in mind the range of the notes that you're playing. Generally, the mid to lower treble clef and then down into bass clef, those are your sweet spot notes. Those are the notes that you want to have more than anything else. The upper notes, especially if somebody, say they have a headache, those upper notes can actually be very piercing and very painful. So you want to be really careful about using the upper notes. The general rule is high notes stimulate, low notes soothe. So the more you do in the low range of your instrument, the better off you are. Now, Christine D, you're playing the tenor recorder, or is it alto? Alto, yeah. So your pitch range is going to be naturally quite high. And you're going to have to be very careful about, and Hannah will help you with that because she's a very talented recorder player as well. But always be thinking, you know, where am I on the instrument? Am I getting too high? Keep it as low as possible. And you always want to keep it as soothing as possible. And usually soothing means lower pitch. An exception is when you're playing for young children. And then you want to get more into the music box effects, which is going to be the higher pitches to get that music box sound. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. All right, we're ready for the next subject. What else do you want to talk about? Leanne.
Oh, thank you, Mary. I'm really curious because I live in Canada, and I'm curious as to know what kind of opportunities are there throughout the United States for working in hospitals. It seems to me, because you have a different system in America, that there are more opportunities due to many more privately funded programs that really, what's the word I'm looking for? They really value this complementary therapy. And I feel like perhaps that's just not even a part of our hospital. Like they just don't even, they're not there yet.
Okay.
Around where I've never seen anything like that in hospitals. I have definitely had, like I just got an email asking if I'm interested in playing it for hospice. And so I feel like there are opportunities to play at hospice, but I've never seen anybody in the hospital.
In the hospitals? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I can't
I'd be
speak
really
for-
interested to know.
Yeah, I can't speak for the Canadian healthcare system because I'm not that familiar with it. In the US, if we talk pre-COVID, there were getting to be more and more opportunities to play in a hospital. There were a lot of hospitals that were recognizing the value of it. The Kaiser hospitals were recognizing therapeutic musicians, and the Baylor Hospital in Dallas, therapeutic musicians, Stanford Hospital in California, and on the East Coast, there are numerous hospitals that were valuing therapeutic musicians and were actually hiring them, and they were part of the essential care team. And when COVID hit, a lot of those positions, of course, were shut down because you just didn't have access to the patients. There were some therapeutic musicians that were on staff considered essential personnel, and they were able to continue working throughout COVID. When you look at the number of hospitals that were using therapeutic musicians, they were in the minority. Now, hospitals are still, from what I see, they're still quite cautious, and it varies a lot from region to region. It varies a lot with even a city from one facility to another. There are hospitals that are letting therapeutic musicians back in on the floors. A lot of them are playing in the hallways, not quite at bedside yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. I don't know if we'll ever have as much free access as we did before. That still waits to be seen, but it is moving forward. A lot of the opportunities that are available are in hospice, as you said, Leanne. Hospices are very open for the most part, to therapeutic musicians. Long-term care centers are pretty open now. There are still some that are being cautious, but a lot of them are welcoming people in. Rehab facilities, assisted living facilities, all of those type of facilities are welcoming therapeutic musicians back in. Cancer centers, infusion centers, all of those are becoming much more open. And I'm hoping that in 2023, by the end of 2023, we're going to be close to where we were before. I see a lot of positive signs, and I get emails from graduates who are saying, I'm back in, I'm back in. Leanne, you have another comment?
Oh, Mary, yeah, thank you for all of that. Yeah, I just want to say that my background is playing and performing in assisted living, independent living, care facilities. So I've had lots of work doing that, like over the years. Of course, lately I had to turn down lots because I was in a car accident, and I'm just sort of recovering from that. But I'm getting a lot more emails now trying to book for special events like Mother's Day and Valentine's Day that we just had, and all those, and outside when it gets to be summertime, then there's lots of opportunities to be playing outside. And we're hoping that by March I may be able to play and sing again maskless, because that's been very difficult, trying to sing and play the harp with a mask on, because it does impede your vision of the strings, and then you're trying to sing and the mask is moving around. So but I just want to tell you that yes, those opportunities have been very forthcoming in those kinds of facilities. But I'm wondering if how, well, this is something for the future, but how I will navigate forward in terms of getting into hospitals, because I'd really like to be able to do that to these people who are, some don't have any visitors at all. And just to be able to add that beauty to their day. Yeah. Thank you.
There are a number of people who come into CMCP who are playing in care centers in like the group settings. The advantage of going through CMCP is that you get the bedside authorization to play in the bedsides. And that is something that we lost, and it is coming back. As far as playing for group settings, the facilities have been open to that for quite some time again, which is nice. But the one-on-one in the bedside, in the patient's rooms, is something that has been slower coming back, and understandably so. Yeah, but think outside the box of where else would therapeutic music be helpful? There are many areas where you could use therapeutic music. You're learning skills that are not limited to healthcare settings. You could use these in yoga studios, in meditation centers, in prayer worship services. I think it'd be a great pairing with a psychologist or a psychiatry office. You have the patient come and listen to therapeutic music, and they're ready to talk when you're done.
I used it in schools, actually.
Schools, yes.
Yeah, so what I was doing was playing for kids on the autism spectrum to try and keep them on focus and on task. That was pretty effective, actually.
I have had reports of graduates who have approached schools and have been brought on staff to play for kindergarten classes, for counseling centers in the schools, for disruptive kids, for special needs kids. So schools are definitely a place that is worth exploring, most definitely. Think outside the box. Anybody
also,
else got?
Recovery from drug addiction and alcohol.
Yeah, veterans hospitals, very popular there where you're dealing with PTSD. I've got one graduate who her practice is almost exclusively PTSD people, and she's done a lot of research on what they're dealing with. And that's where your continuing education, after you're certified and you go into continuing education, kind of specialize. Where do you want to go? If you want to work with veterans, do lots of research on what they've experienced. Read the books on what it was really like to be in battle and the things that they have to deal with. Educate yourself. That's where you take control of your own education. And if you're going to be in long-term care centers, educate yourself on dealing with Alzheimer and dementia patients. Educate yourself on dealing with brain injury patients, people who need that long-term care, on stroke victims. Take it out and get what you need there. Okay.
Does anybody work with animals that does therapeutic music? I mean, I saw a little bit on the video, but most of what I'm hearing is human places.
Human.
So
Yeah,
what have
yeah.
you heard people do with animals?
With animals, there are a number of people who go into veterinary clinics or animal shelters and play for them. If you do research on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, you'll probably find, if you do a search for music therapy for animals or whatever. I've heard of it being used for racehorses to give them whatever they need, either before or after the race, for just various situations with animals. And that's another opportunity. There are a lot of places that do equestrian therapy, horse therapy for troubled children, and that would be another opportunity place where you might, you just have to use your imagination and explore some things. And Michelle says she worked at a daycare and they loved it when she played for nap time. Well, yeah, I can imagine, kids are so in tune to the vibrations that come through to them that you can help them very much by playing and helping them focus and helping them breathe and bringing the pulse down and just helping them. Yeah. There's lots of stories of therapeutic musicians who play for a setting in a daycare or a kindergarten or a preschool. And it just changes the whole mood of the room when they start playing. Okay. Other topics? So how are you all doing with improvisation? Does it still scare you? Or are you doing okay with it?
Actually, I had an interesting experience with improvisation. So after listening to the guitar versions of the B worksheets, I decided I would try to improvise on the guitar. My left wrist, they put back together like a jigsaw puzzle after my accident. And it's been really hard to get the strength and the agility back in my fingers. And what I discovered was that if I warmed up and then started to play stuff that I know would relax me, that suddenly that movement came back. So ironically, I was using improvisation as almost my own therapy.
As your own self-care. Yeah, yeah.
Just to get the guitar back.
Uh-huh.
I'd really like to be able to play it therapeutically. It's kind of interesting hear from the heart.
Yeah, you can practice your therapeutic music on yourself. Absolutely. I mean, that's probably where you should start. Just to help you tune into that music, get off of the page, tune into the music. And the worksheet, I think it's the first worksheet where it tells you to practice with your eyes closed. That is an excellent skill that you should continue to do all the way through. It just helps you focus in on the music, focus in on the effect of the music, and try to feel, where does it vibrate in your body? Because if you can figure that out, if you've got pain in that particular part of the body, then find the music that vibrates right there. And that's the whole premise of vibroacoustic harp therapy, actually. And vibroacoustic therapy of any kind is getting that vibration. You can't control where it goes in your body, but if you find the pitch that vibrates in that place, it can give you some relief from tension and from pain. It's um, Jonathan Goldman, who wrote the Through a Dog's Ear book. He has another book out called The Humming Effect, and it's a small book. And what he says isn't profound. It's kind of like a, well, duh, why didn't I think of that? But the effect of the simple act of humming, and anybody can hum. And if you pay attention to, you hum, and you pay attention to where do you feel the vibration from that hum in your body. And by changing the pitch, if you've got a headache, you can get that vibration to go right to wherever that headache is. And if you've got congestion, it can help relieve congestion. Yeah, it's a self-care technique that is very simple, very easy to do. And especially if you're on an airplane, you can do it and nobody would even hear you doing it. I've used it many times when I'm on an airplane and I've started getting a headache. I don't fly anymore, but when I did, and I just used that technique to send that vibration wherever that headache was developing, and it would go away. It's pretty amazing.
You can use that technique for people on the autism spectrum. You can use that technique to avoid audio triggers.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was, the last most disastrous situation I was in 5 hours in O'Hare Airport with a bunch of construction and other sounds.
Oh my.
And a lot of those will trigger. Vacuum cleaners are awful. They feel like somebody's clawing at me from the inside. They're pretty painful. And so just humming away, just trying to find the frequency that would mask them.
Mm-hmm.
And harp, sometimes in I've sometimes used techniques on harp and on guitar where you on harp you tune a string enharmonically, so like the E and the E sharp and F, and now you can alternate between those two strings and set up a vibration very softly so that it almost sounds like a continuous note. And of course on guitar you would do that just by doing tremolo, which is a technique. And that's quite effective at kind of masking extraneous and horrible sounds.
But can you imagine somebody who's in a hospital who has that sensitivity to something like a vacuum cleaner, and the housekeeping comes through and they plug in that vacuum cleaner to that wall vacuum, and it's like, oh, wow, that's not relaxing.
I once had a disastrous experience where I was in a hospital and somebody in the hallway was unpacking shipping boxes. And that sound, ripping tape off shipping boxes, is a powerful trigger. And before they figured out who was screaming, I had almost pulled the IV out of my arm.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, you know, hospital rooms are not quiet. Yeah.
And that's why it's important that we be there. And it's important to be aware of the sounds around you. When you get into level 2, there are some meditations in there of tuning into the sounds around you and then trying to play music that doesn't fight that sound, but incorporates that sound so that it is not a disruptive thing, but it's part of the overall musical package. And so it's important to be able to do that kind of stuff, that you're matching. If there's an alarm beeping, to figure out, okay, what's the pitch of that alarm, and try to figure out where it is in that pitch, and then play music that uses that pitch, either as the tonic or as the dominant or as, you know, one of the main notes of that key, whatever you're playing in. And then it becomes a trick when it's at a rhythm that is just out of sync of what we normally do for therapeutic music. Either it's too fast or it's too slow or it seems irregular. But if you can incorporate it into the music that you do, then it's not nearly as disruptive. Michelle.
So this isn't actually a question or with the curriculum or anything, but just as Anne has been sharing some of her experiences, for me, this has just been very affirming for just some of the intuitive things. My oldest is going to be 24, but we had done that whole, we're going to do the rhythmic breathing and we're going to, we have all this stuff that we have prepared. And I had, as a music teacher, I had a whole, like 5 or 6 CDs. We went through every single one of them and it was get rid of it, kill it, because this addresses the rhythmic and non-rhythmic portion of the level 1 exercises.
Mm-hmm.
Because even at 24, 25 years ago, we were playing music and I had contractions for about 12 hours. And the only thing that kept me from going nuts, because most of that was without painkiller, was it was actually a CD called Sea Whisperings by Ruben Correa out of Minneapolis, because it had no rhythm. And everything else was so rhythmic, and I couldn't keep the steady breathing. I couldn't go in for 4 and out for 4. The only thing that could keep my pain level under control without medicine was that non-rhythmic. And I don't remember a whole lot of it, but my husband said too that there was a lot of humming that went on, that if I had a contraction, I was actually humming myself. So as I go through this, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. It's actually like on paper what I felt. So for me, it has been just a wonderful journey, and knowing that I'll soon be able to share this with others and help them also find their power to do that for themselves.
Sure. Yeah, you'll find that a lot of the things that we point out in therapeutic music is stuff that if you're doing a lot of playing for people and you're sensitive, it's stuff that you may have already discovered, but you just need that affirmation that, yeah, that's right. That's true. It's almost like getting a diagnosis and having something that has a name for it. It's not nearly so scary and it's affirming. And so, yeah, you'll find that there's a lot of stuff that you just go, well, yeah, of course. So Leanne, you have another comment?
Yeah, just to comment on that as well. I also find that unpredictable music, when you're in pain, to not know what's coming, somehow, I don't know, I find that very helpful. And so I'd like to just agree with what Michelle said. I'm not sure that's exactly why that lessened her pain, but I was wondering if because she didn't know what the rhythm was going to be, like she couldn't predict what was going to happen next, that somehow it relaxes the mind somehow, which leads me to another question, Mary. If somebody is, like, say someone's in a hospital bed and they are jerking a lot, twitching, jerking, maybe they're on a lot of pain medication, maybe they're kind of unconscious or going in and out of consciousness, and they're jerking. I often think, I contemplate how I would react to that. Like as a musician, like if I was in the room, would I try and match what I saw was happening with them, like in their jerking movements? Would I try to sort of empathize with them by doing the same, like by trying to match and then trying to bring us both to another place that's more relaxed and peaceful? Can you speak of that, Mary? Thank you.
Yeah. The 2023 edition actually has a section on this, and the non-rhythmic versus rhythmic dilemma. Which do I do? And first of all, let me talk on that My answer to that is it depends on the person. Some people need that familiarity, that stability of the predictable beat, of a predictable melody, of something that is familiar. They can't relax unless they can go, oh, that's what this song is, and I know where I am, and I know, it gives them that stability. Other people, that type of predictability stimulates their mind so that they're following and they're anticipating, and it keeps the mind engaged rather than released. So how do you know which way is this person? And what you do is you watch very carefully. You've got somebody that you're playing for, and they're watching you play, and they're engaged, and they start getting a little bit relaxed. And then, so you start taking away some of the rhythm, you start taking away some of the familiar melody. If they continue to relax, then that's the right thing to do for that person. They need that disconnect in order to let go, or at least they can let go with that non-rhythmic, non-melodic approach. If you're playing along and they start relaxing and you start taking away the rhythm and you start taking away the melody, and then they open their eyes and they look at you again, that probably means that they're wondering, what the heck are you doing? What happened to the melody? Do you know what you're doing? They may be searching for that melody. So for that person, you need to stay with something that is predictable. We keep trying to make this a science, that it's step 1, step 2, step 3, and this is what you do. It's not a science, it's an art, and it's very individualized. And this is why it's hard to do scientific studies on therapeutic music, because there are so many variables. Now, as far as an agitated patient, quite often, if you've got a patient who is very agitated and calling out or crying out or thrashing, if you play something that is very soothing and calming, they're way up here and this is way down here, and there's no entrainment there. There's no compatibility there. It's so far removed from where they are that it just becomes noise, and it could be part of the irritation that they're feeling. Get out of here, I don't want to calm down type of approach. So for that person, yeah, you forget about having a rhythmic beat. You match what they're doing. If they're thrashing, then you thrash with your melody. Now, if they're thrashing at this level, you don't want to come up and do that same level, because you're gonna just augment it, and then it's gonna continue to build. If they're thrashing at this level, you're down here at something that's just below them, and then hopefully they recognize somebody hears me, somebody sees me, and then you've got that entrainment that will happen, and that resonance that will happen, and then they'll start calming down, and then you can eventually go back to your calming stuff once they move down there. And quite often what will happen is that they'll be up here and you'll get them to come down here, and then they'll go back up, and you may have to go through the process numerous times. But as long as there's progress being made, that's the correct approach. So you might try, if it doesn't seem to be doing any good, then you might try just establishing a gentle beat that is not at 60 beats per minute, because that again is too far removed from where they are. But if they're way up here at, like, say 110, if you come in with 90, they might come down to you on that gentle beat, and then you can slowly bring it down and invite them to calm down with you. So that probably opens up a whole bunch of questions. I hope that's helpful. Again, it isn't a science. It's an art form. You have to be very intuitive. And sometimes the patient will need something that goes completely against the guidelines. And if that happens, you do whatever they need. If you find something that is effective for them, that's what you do. If they need Elvis, you do Elvis. If they need Beatles, you do Beatles. If they need Renaissance, you do Renaissance. If they want Celtic, your repertoire development is something that you have to work on continually, and try to have something in your repertoire that will address the needs of each ethnic group that is in your area. Okay, well, we're getting close to the end here. Judy, did you have something?
Yeah, I just have a question. One of the things that I'm finding frustrating is the recording of my little recordings that I send to you. Is there a preferable app to record with?
For recording?
Yeah. Are some better than others? Because the one I have is, I don't know. I've tried two, I guess. Maybe it's just me. I don't sound that good. I don't know. There's people that.
So what do you all have? Michelle, do you have an app that you like?
Well, I have an iPhone, and the little, it's like a black icon with a red and a blue zigzaggy. It comes with the phone, and I think it's called Voice Memos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not bad. I mean, and it's so super easy. I mean, I can set it on a music stand. I mean, sometimes I have set it on my leg underneath my harp, and the recording, you know, Nicole has never said, oh, you know, it's even when I listen to it, although I don't like my playing, that's my problem with recording. I start analyzing, and then I'm like, oh, that's yucky, and then I re-record.
Yeah.
But my iPhone has, and it's super easy. I can hit the little arrow, and it gives me the option to send an email, and I type Nicole's name in it, add a message, or, you know, my answers, and I go. So if you have an iPhone, that's like super easy, because I don't use any special recording devices.
The microphones on the smartphones are usually pretty good, and you really don't need a fancy recording app. It's mostly a matter of understanding the app, and get one that's simple. Don't get one that's you know, recording quality and all of that. You don't need that. Just something that's easy to do. Christine?
Actually, I noticed Judy's on her iPad.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And I
Yeah.
use my iPad to make my recordings also. It's got the same little app on it with the voicemail.
Yeah.
So
I've
use
done
your
that
iPad.
too.
It works great.
Yeah. Okay. Just sounds so twangy sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But
don't worry about that, because as mentors, we're not listening to recording quality. What we're listening to
Good.
is what you're doing. How is your flow?
Yeah.
Basically, how's your flow is the main thing that we're looking at, because you've got to have smooth flow. You can get Ray with all sorts of things if you've just got a smooth flow that doesn't stop and jerk. Because the people who are relaxing are probably not listening intently to what you're playing anyway, and so they're not going to notice a bad note. The recording is very intimidating, I know, for most people, but by the time you're through the course, you'll get over that, because there's lots of it there. Okay, so Megan asked, is there an audio or video example of this in the course? And I think you're talking about the agitated thing. I have made recordings, and I don't remember if I've got one on the website or not. But when you get to that point, when you get to the point in the course where they're talking about the agitated student, if you need a sample, let me know, and I'll send it to you. So how do we purchase the 2023 course book? Just send me an email and ask, and then I'll send you a link to purchase it through the website, and then I'll send you the PDF of the 2023. Okay. All righty, we are at 7:30, so it's time to quit. Thank you for your input. I hope this has been helpful for you. And any feedback that you want to give me, I'm always open to feedback on the course or things that you see. If you find errors someplace, or if you find something on the website that isn't working or that doesn't make sense, please let me know, because that's how I improve the course, is by your feedback. So, okay. All righty. Well, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening. And hopefully we'll see you again in a few months when I do another level 1 roundtable. Or if you're going to level 2, we'll do a level 2 roundtable. So, all right. Take care.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Good night.
Good night, everyone.